All right, good morning.
Good
So
morning.
I'm
Morning.
really, I'm really looking forward to the next couple of weeks. So we've got a lot of you should have seen the the agenda. We're going to kind of start today and then make our way through the presentation over the next 5 or 6 weeks, skipping 1 week at the beginning of June, but we'll be meeting every Friday up until then. So kind of introducing the new training manual, which I think is a great thing. Some of you may have seen it, the rest of you will see it. But we're really gonna kind of walk through the whole thing, introduce it. We'll have some assignments for you guys to do on your own. But we're really looking to make this interactive, and I think it's a great time for it. We're about to come into the summer season. We tend to do boot camp this time every single year, and we tend to get a boost from it. So I'm looking forward to it. So thank you guys all for sticking in and giving us this next couple of weeks. I think it's going to be great. So today we're going to start off with, and some of you know this, and I think it's a really great reminder. We're going to talk a little bit about the brain today. And Billy, you really keyed it off last week beautifully with your mindset and not letting people kind of dictate your presentation and where your brain goes, and staying in the moment and doing your presentation from soup to nuts, and not letting your customers kind of throw things at you that throw you off. So that's kind of where we want to start today. So the brain is very, very interesting. So I tried to put together a whiteboard. Let's see if this works, because we're confused. I was confused here. Let's see. I'm trying something fancy. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
I just wanted a little just kind of take the words I'm going to use. There's what happened here? Oh boy. Okay, I don't know. Well, there we go. So the brain is broken up into a million different parts, but for what we're talking about, we've got your reptilian brain, which is how many of you have ever had a reptile as a pet? Okay, so Mike, when you get
And a
home,
spider.
you had what?
I had a tarantula as a pet too. Snake and a tarantula.
So unlike a dog or a cat, when you get home and you have a reptile or a snake or probably even a tarantula as a pet, they're not like in their cage up looking for you. They're not all excited to see you. They're just kind of like slimy, right? They eat and they stay alive. So a reptile's main focus is really just to live. And so they're constantly in that fight or flight stage where your brain is just really all they're meant to do is to eat and live and stay alive. So run from their predators. That's the only thing that they do. So a lot of people like having them as pets, but they're not that like lovey, notice you. They're just kind of there. So when you're in your reptilian brain, that's exactly where you are. You're in that fight or flight brain that the only thing you can think about is your safety. And sometimes we go there just we don't want to. Somebody drops a book and you jump and you feel that feeling in your stomach. You're generally that throws you into your reptilian brain that try to be safe and try to take care of yourself. If somebody cuts you off in the car and you slam on your brakes and you feel that, you're generally going right to your reptilian brain. But it doesn't have to be something that dramatic. You can be in your reptilian brain when you meet somebody new, when you are introduced to a new situation. There are little triggers that can take you into that reptilian brain, where the only thing your brain is doing is keeping you safe. And how do I find my threat? How do I save myself? Or how do I live? And it's a common place for people to live, is in that sense of just urgency to stay alive. And it's a horrible feeling. When your stomach does that, that's like the worst feeling ever. And you just don't know what to do, and you can't think of anything else. So that's the first brain that we've got. Now your midbrain is what I call your love brain. So this is where you feel your emotions. This is where you feel happiness. This is where you feel love. This is where your memories are created and held. This is where you daydream. This is just where you are in this sense of like this happy love bubble. And it doesn't have to be happy emotions. It could be sad emotions too, but really it's your emotional brain. One of the things I like to talk about, and this happens to me all the time. You're driving down the highway and you're at exit 2, and all of a sudden you're at exit 10 and you don't remember how you got there. That happens all the time. That means you're in your midbrain. You're in that love brain. You're thinking about something else. Excuse me. And it's just 100% emotional, and you're living in that moment. And that's where you are. So, and that's kind of a scary thing too. Sometimes that jumps you right back to that reptilian fight or flight, because you're like, oh no, what happened? Or you missed your exit or whatnot. But your brain is still working. It's still going because you're driving, you're not getting into accidents, you're figuring out where you are. You are just completely in your emotional space. Then you have your neocortex. This is your smart brain. This is where you learn. This is where you retain knowledge. This is where your understanding comes from. So this is where your brain grows and gets bigger and gets more and more information. Now, the most important thing about these brains that we need to talk about is that you cannot go from your reptilian brain to your neocortex without going through your midbrain. And you cannot be in 2 brains at once. So I'm going to say that again. Well, let's see. Can I draw? Maybe. No. Yes, you can't go from your reptilian brain, oh, that's fancy, to your neocortex without going through your midbrain. And you cannot be in 2 brains at once. So what does that mean for us? Because honestly, this could be like a 6-day seminar about each of your brains. But really, when it comes down to it, when you're in your reptilian brain, you absolutely 100% cannot retain information because you're not in your neocortex. So how many of you have gone and picked up one of your customers and they tell you their names, or not even one of your customers, just anybody, you've met somebody, you shake their hand and they say, hi, my name is Mary. And 30 seconds later, you have no idea what their name is.
Yeah, happens to everybody.
Happens to everybody.
How do you fix it, Jen?
I will tell you, that's a good question.
I know what's coming next.
But the reason that you can't remember their name, it's because your brain is not allowing you to retain the information because you are in your fight or flight. Your brain is in a situation that it's confused. It's just trying to keep you safe. And something as simple as just meeting somebody sometimes can rev up those feelings of unease that will allow you not to actually hear what the people are saying. Kids in school, we hear this a lot. You have a child in the 2nd grade that is failing, that just can't get it. And the teacher's like, I don't know what's wrong with them. They're not understanding. They're bad kids. You hear this, all of these awful things. These children, maybe we should hold them back. And then they go to 3rd grade and they flourish and they get straight A's. Did they get smarter over the summer? No. Generally, it's because their 2nd grade teacher didn't emotionally connect to them and their 3rd grade teacher did. So their brain physically could not retain the knowledge that the teacher was saying. So if you don't have that, and that's, I think, some of the best way to explain it. If you don't have that connection, if a second grader doesn't have that connection with their teacher, if they feel uneasy, if they feel like that they are a bad kid, if they feel like the teacher's always mad at them, they're living in their reptilian brain. And so as this teacher is giving them information and math and science and reading, they can't retain any of it. And they're deemed bad kids. And then all of a sudden they have the teacher that changed their lives. You always hear these stories about the life-changing teacher. A lot of it is they just were able to make an emotional connection.
Mr. Jensen.
It was that your guy? But see, everybody has that. And you say, or Al will always say when people buy, oh, nice people. Yeah, they were nice people, he'll say. Yeah, it's because you have that emotional connection with them. They could hear everything that you were saying in order to make an informed decision. And you could understand what they were saying in order to give them what they needed. Some of you have heard the story. I'm old. So I used to have a phone that was attached to a wall, like it had a cord on a wall. And this was years and years and years, probably 20 years ago. We had a hot tub that was in our deck. And my only job was a couple times a year was to clean the hot tub and refill it. So my husband is out on his riding lawnmower doing yard stuff, and I'm filling the hot tub and the phone rings. So I had to go inside and get the phone off the wall, and I'm stuck to the wall. And it was my mother-in-law, and she's lovely. So most of the time, but she was having a day and she needed my husband for something, and she was yelling and it was not pretty. And I fixed it. And I was really proud because I didn't have to go get him. I didn't have to bother him on his riding lawnmower and his like happy place. But as I'm fixing it, the hot tub overflows and the water comes into my house, onto my wood floors, which was bad. So I hang up the phone and Jeff comes in and he's not happy, to say the least. And you had one job, he kept saying. You have one job. You have one job. This is your only job. And I kept saying, listen to me. I was fixing this. I didn't mean for this to happen. I was doing this. And he, for the life of me, could not get over it. So a couple hours later goes by and I said, I love you, right? And he says, yeah, midbrain. Okay. We're talking emotion. I said, your mother called and she needed this, and this, and this is what I did for you. And he goes, you did that? I said, yeah. I said, and that's when the hot tub overflowed. And he says to me, well, why didn't you just tell me that? I did. You just couldn't hear me because you were in your reptilian brain. So today I'm not only gonna give you stuff that you can use in your sales presentation, but relationship wise as well. If you're saying, listen to me, I guarantee you nobody can listen to you. Wait till they're back in their midbrain. So how do we do that? Because that's the most important thing. Our customers come in and they're not on vacation. Our customers are in a different world. They're coming, they're driving 3 hours. Brian, you put it beautifully the other day, your story about the customers coming in. Do you want to tell it? Because it was good.
Sure.
I'll put you on the spot. Sorry, because you made me laugh because it's so the truth.
No, we were talking about it the other day. We were talking about our customers, how you kind of think about it. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. They wake up. They've had a long week at the office. They look outside. It's the only nice day of the week because it's been raining. And the husband looks at the wife and he's like, seriously, we're doing this today? Seriously, you booked this? They get in, they throw the kid in the car, they go in, someone spills the coffee on the way in, it's an hour. Someone looks at the other one and says, I can't believe we're doing this. And she says, you haven't taken me anywhere. That starts into a fight. Then right before they go in, no matter what, they say, listen, I don't care what we do, no matter what, we're not buying anything. Do not say a word. First person that gets out wins, right? Then they go in, and then the salesperson, they get in the lobby. There's 15 other people. One person's blowing out the lobby, so they don't know what to think, right? They're still cleaning it out. Then the salesperson comes up and says, so I just want to make sure you make $50,000 a year, correct? Seriously? Like, that's how we're starting? Anyway, that was the conversation.
Yeah. And it's true. So these
Yeah.
people are, just like Brian said, they're coming in, they're not happy-go-lucky on vacation, already in their good feelings and in their good vibes. They're in this
Coming in hot.
brain of like, they're coming in hot, they're angry
Mm-hmm.
probably with each other and probably with us, and they don't even know why, just because they're here. We're not buying anything. Their guard is up. Their only thing that they're thinking about is, how do we get out of this alive?
And it's the opposite. Whereas if I knew that someone got up early on a Saturday morning, drove an hour and a half to hand me a check for $1,000, I'd open the door, give them a hug, give them a cup of coffee, give them the most comfortable seat I had in the house, ask about their ride, whatever I needed to do to make him comfortable to start that conversation. And how often do we skip that?
All the time.
Yeah.
And then we
And
jump.
that's on our first tour, we're at our best.
Yeah.
God forbid we're going from our second to our third. Then
Mhm.
what does that look like?
Yep. So, and so the truth. So I want to talk about 3 things today. The first thing is exactly what Brian said, is how do we get ourselves into the right brain to do the right thing for our customers? The second thing is why we need to be aware of this for our customers based on where our customers are. And third is how we use this in our sales process and what we do when they slip back. So first things first, a lot of people, I mean, like I said, this could be a training that could go on for days and days and days. If you're a yogi, if you like yoga, if you like Pilates, this is what you work on. You train yourself to live in your midbrain. Like that, to have your body be still and calm and regulate your breathing and not have any of those electric pulses going through you. Like if you go to yoga, and I don't know if any of you besides me do, like this is there's actually a yoga that is it's called Yoga Nidra, and it basically, you lay there and you try to take yourself into a state that you can't be like you can't hear anything else. You almost feel like you're elevating. It's supposed to be, it's like your ultimate midbrain. So people work years and years and years and years on how to live in this midbrain, because it's supposed to then elevate your intelligence, which makes sense, because if you're in your midbrain, that's when you can now start to learn and grow. So we have to do it every single day before we pick up our tours. And we have to do it during our presentation when all of a sudden somebody says to you, I don't think I'm buying anything today. So we go in and we're already nervous, right? Especially when you're new, you're nervous. And I've heard this before. I've heard people say, my palms are sweating, I think I'm going to throw up. When you think back to your very first tour you ever took. You know, you were a nervous wreck. You didn't know what to say. You didn't know what to do. And you got to calm yourself down, and you go down and you go to pick up your couple, and all you're thinking about is I hope this goes well. You're just not in the right mindset. And the couple tells you their name and you don't remember their name. And then they tell you throughout the presentation how to sell them. And how many of you have been on a sales floor and seen somebody, and we've all done it, but you notice it in somebody else. When a customer says, oh, I don't like the ocean, I would never come to Cape Cod. And then the next thing the representative says is, let me tell you all about Surfside.
Yeah.
Right? It happens. And the reason it happens, it's not because we're idiots. Like, I don't want to, like, it's so, we look at this on the floor and we go, what are they doing? The reason that it's happening is because the representative is not in their right mindset. They actually physically, mentally cannot hear what their customers are saying. So the first thing you need to do is figure out how to get yourself and trick yourself into your midbrain. So a lot of you knew Matty Matera. For those of you that are new, he was a sales rep. He was with us for a very, very long time. And he had very open and admittedly high anxiety. And I mean, incredibly high anxiety. And before he would pick up one of his tours here at Harbor Walk, for those of you that haven't been here, you have to walk downstairs. So for every stair he went down, out loud, he would say, I'm grateful for this. Today I feel love in this. Today, my happiness comes from this. He would trick his brain and he would say it out loud, and people probably were wondering what the heck he was doing. But for him, he would walk down the stairs and say out loud things that brought him joy, things that brought him happiness, things that he were grateful for. Because if you're feeling those feelings, you're in your midbrain, and allowed him to then be able to be in his neocortex to hear what people were saying. That was his trick. And in his presentation, if he found himself, because what happens when somebody says, oh, we're not buying, or I don't want to waste your time. They might even be nice, right? They're so nice. Brian and I talked about this yesterday. Not even mean, just I saw there was a whole bunch of people down there. You might be better suited to talk to somebody else. I don't want to waste your time because we're just here for the gifts. And your brain goes, "Whoop." And you're going to do one of two things. The first one is you're going to get up and be like, oh, I'm going to try to broom them. I'll take somebody else. Or you're just not going to be, your head's not going to be in your presentation. So how do we keep ourselves throughout our presentation where our brains are in an open mindset where you can actually hear what the customers are saying? Anyone have any tips? Anything that you do?
I try to find something I like about them. Anything.
That is that's the best answer. Not the best. Every answer is good, but that is exactly it. If you find something that you like about the people in front of you, it brings some emotion into it. That's really, and sometimes it's hard to do.
Mhm.
So that's huge. That's going to be your first thing. And your brain can be easily tricked.
Yep.
So you can say something, you don't even have to mean it. I mean, you should, but you could say, I love your purse. And just by using those words, it changes your brain chemistry. So it doesn't have to be, I mean, they could have the ugliest nails you've ever seen, but if you take interest in it and say, wow, look at those gorgeous nails that are 52 different colors with rhinestones on them, absolutely gorgeous, and have a conversation about them, you've now put yourself in a better mindset that you can hear what the people are saying.
I always ask about guys' watches because I love watches. I'll compliment the wife's jewelry, or if she has some kind of pendant or something special on, a pin or a necklace or something, or nice earrings. I'll say something about that.
Or an icebreaker.
Yeah, just some kind of like icebreaker.
Yeah. Hope you don't mind casual.
Yeah.
and that is so huge because and Mike, you just hit the nail on the head with you like watches. So that's something that brings you joy. So by then having a conversation with somebody about that, you can then have that connection with them.
It just takes you away from the uncomfortableness. You find something in common, you're talking about it, and then everybody kind of relax.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's human.
Yes. And that helps, and it helps with your brain.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Mike, if you don't even know if they're tough, you use an undeniable truth, right? Just to kind of get started, whatever, something in agreement, right? It just starts a conversation, lets you know, takes your temperature.
And Brian, that's
talking about the weather is good.
And that's a great point. Because how many times or I do this all the time, like you're in the grocery store and the grocery store clerk wants to talk to you, and you just say, oh my gosh, what a gorgeous day it was today. Because that's your, right? Like that's kind of like your go-to, but it gets you out of that, oh, what am I going to talk to this person about?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that's our biggest issue is ourselves in sales. It's not the customer sitting in front of us. It's us, our brains, where we are and where our head is. And if it's not right, it's not right. And it's going to be hard to get a deal. So the first thing you have to do is know when you're uncomfortable. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, then you need to find a way to pull yourself out. And those undeniable truths are huge. Finding something you like about the people sitting in front of you is huge. And I think, Billy, you hit the nail on the head last week when you talked about it. As you're going through your presentation, if you can remind yourself why you believe the people in front of you need our product, not just want it, why they need it, and we're going to feel good about giving it to them, that helps keep us in that same mindset as well. Because if we truly believe that somebody needs something for their well-being, for their life, then you're in that midbrain, you're in that good vibe brain, and people can feel that. So you have to believe it. Go ahead.
I think a lot of times, Jen, we do this without realizing it. We get into these different brain sections in our presentation, but we don't realize it. But good people are doing the things that you're talking about, sometimes naturally, but you're showing them and all of us what it is we really do to get us back on track. You'll help us when we have a problem in the beginning. That's why knowing this information about where you are in your brain is extremely important. I did some of these things without realizing I was in the right brain. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Because as a sales rep, you go out and I think the main goal of every client that you meet is to find something that you like about them. And then if you feel that way, you work harder for them. And I that was a very normal check and balance for me. I did that every single time I toured. I did these things, and I think it's so neat that you look up as you were talking and going, I do that. And then you get to the midbrain and go, oh, yeah. Oh, I know what that means. Sure, yeah. And then shit, next thing I'm like about watches, and then all of a sudden. I just write down a statement, find a way to find something to like about people that you're on tour with. And it's so good that I guess that I really like seeing it because it kind of breaks it out for me and it makes sense to me. And I hope it makes sense to the reps. It needs to, because we do this in a way you want to do all these things. We teach you these things, but we don't tell you it's a reptilian brain. We don't tell you it's a midbrain. We don't tell you that it's a neocortex. That's kind of new to me. That's new language to me, but it fits into exactly what I do. It's normal. It's a normal pattern for somebody that's trying to sell. That you've got to be in the right frame of mind. And Maddie was great at getting in the right frame of mind. Probably one of the best that I've ever seen be able to do that. He would completely change himself in a minute. It was unbelievable.
It was crazy. And he knew, he understood this. This was one of his favorite trainings that we did, because for him, it just resonated that he lived his life in reptilian brain. Yeah. It was a lot of work, and I saw the work he put in to get himself out of that. But if you don't know, Billy, you made a good point. For a lot of us, this comes naturally. It's something that we do. But if you find yourself off and you know, like, okay, hold on, I'm not hearing what these people are saying. I'm nervous right now. I need to get myself out of this to be the best I can be. It just gives you like a check and balance of why things happen, and
Jen, I want
how to fix it.
I want to add as well, for going back to the scenario where, the customer comes in and they're coming in hot, or they have an issue, it might be an overnight that had an issue the night prior with whatever that might look like. And sometimes when they come in, it's really hard to relate to that person, because they come in, they want to be heard, right? And they don't feel like they're done yet. Right. And they sit down with the sales rep and we go, the best thing that we can do at that point is approach it with empathy and not sympathy. Then it feels in people, we want to be really quick to have a reaction oftentimes, or to fix something, really people don't want that. They want to be heard, and they want to have someone who connects and understands them. And we do that through empathy statements. Real important to diffuse someone and be able to move forward on the front end.
And those empathy statements, they use words that automatically trigger your brain to go to that midbrain.
Correct.
I understand how you're feeling. Those words, there's trigger words that just get your brain to where they need to be. And if that's how you, instead of saying, well, it was free, or, you've heard that before. Somebody says, oh, well, the room, this and this. Well, it was a free room. And no, I hear what you're saying. I understand. I feel your frustration. Those are key words that get you from that combative, because if you're combative, you're not in the right brain to actually hear what they're saying. It's like
I was talking to Scott, and he put it best for me. He's talking to somebody. He said, remember, they're mad, but they're not mad at you.
Right. That's a great one.
Big difference in how you approach that. Now by using empathy, now you're getting that customer to baseline. Now you're calming them down. Now you're building a connection right from the beginning. What an opportunity to build trust with a client instead of going the other way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I get that in my world
Every
a
two-
lot. They're coming in like this, okay? They're all loaded up for bear to give it to us. All the issues, all the problems. And some of my guys just don't react correctly. They think they're mad at them. They're like, "Oh my God, they're so angry." And they're not mad at you. They're just hear them out,
Right.
let them throw up on you, and tell them you understand, and then handle it when the appropriate time is to handle it. But
And
one
s-
quick thing I wanted to say, Jen, is that I was told many, many years ago to do a good zero step. And I was thinking as you're talking, when you guys get busy, especially on the front line, I can just imagine how things must spiral because you just had 2 tours, you just got off a crazy tour, whatever the case may be, and you get handed a sheet and you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then you run out and you grab these people. You're not ready. You're not prepared for this. You got to go take a second, like Maddie did, talk to yourself, calm yourself down, and say, okay, maybe notice the town they live in, figure something out, get a game plan before you meet the people to just calm down. And then when you do meet them, you take Michael's advice and say, oh, I'm going to notice their watch. It's a game plan, just like a coach telling, okay, this is what you're going to do the first 5 plays. All right. So I wonder how much that happens, and you have to constantly remind people to do that. And you got to remind yourself as a rep to do that because you're just going into the war backwards.
And
You
and
know,
Scott, you're so right. And then it just spirals. You're doing your presentation. You're just talking about things that you think you should talk about because you haven't heard, you weren't able to get what you needed out of your discovery because you couldn't hear them. And then you're trying to present a product and you're just presenting it, just throwing stuff against the wall because you haven't heard the information and retained it that you needed. And it just spirals because you started your presentation in your reptilian brain.
and I was watching something. It may have been a show or something, but when you're angry or you're frustrated, it shows in your eyes first. Okay. So if you pick someone up that you're not prepared to, when they throw something at you, like, I'm just here for the gift and I've been waiting 20 minutes and you people suck, whatever. And you may think that you're being okay, but your eyes are saying, you know what? I don't like you already, you know? And you started completely on the wrong foot, So
Just like you can sense it from them, they can sense it from you.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. You
And
want that.
let me
You
tell
want to make friends with them. You don't want them. You don't want them to feel that way about you. Part of your goal is to make them feel like you're there to help them, that you're not a salesperson. I mean, at the end, people used to say to me, one of the reasons I bought is you're just really good, but you're really not that good a salesperson. I say, I know, I'm not. I'm really not. I just know how to talk. And you have to have a game plan. Everybody on the phone just made that comment. You have to be prepared for the customer that you take. And I told you this last week. I had to get right with myself because I had to forget about the one that just didn't buy from me. And I had to go out and try and sell somebody. So I couldn't be in the same frame of mind. I couldn't finish not selling somebody and be right to go and sell somebody else again. I wasn't ready yet. I had to come to grips with what just happened, and I had to have a game plan, and I had to go at this customer in a new way, and I had to find a way to like this guy. And I don't care about the questions that he thinks he's supposed to say, the statements he thinks he's supposed to make to me, that all his friends and relatives have told him that if you're going to go for one of those presentations, you better tell him you're not buying anything. I mean, when the guy says that to me, I know that's somebody else's advice that he just got. And his wife told him that in the car, or somebody at work told him, oh, you're going to this is going to happen. And it's like guys looking under the hood of a new automobile and they don't see anything that they recognize, but they have to insist upon picking up the hood of the car. They don't feel intelligent unless they say it. So you need to let them say it.
Yeah.
You have to let them say it because
you can't,
you can't stop them, because if you stop them, Oh, don't say that. You don't even know. It's the wrong thing. You listen. They're telling you that. You listen to it. At the end of it, you say, "Hey, you know what? You'll do what you're comfortable doing." I
Just
don't.
like
I don't.
everybody else that walks
Yeah,
in the door.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, everyone says that, and I get that, but nobody really means it. They just think they're supposed to say it. I say it to them. The wife and husband would look at each other, and they packed in the car that they were going to say this, and all of a sudden, I know that they said that on the way down, and I break their pack by saying that. All of a sudden, they kind of come to the realization that, oh, maybe everybody does do this. This didn't affect him. It didn't affect me. I wouldn't let it. I would tell them to get to the right place. I'd actually say, folks, I get it. I understand that. But I still have a job to do that they pay me to do. And I'm going to do it. And I do a great job. And I give you a full court presentation. Everybody gets it. Same thing. I give it to everybody. And I'm going to go from A to Z with you because you deserve the right to see this. If you buy it, great. If you don't buy it, I don't care. It's not up to me. It's not my money. It's your money.
Mhm.
And you'll do with it what you want. But you got to watch what I'm doing. You got to pay attention to me. You do whatever you can to get them on your side. And if surprising them about something that they said to you, like you say, everybody says that, it's okay. They
Don't
look
let
at
them
each
off the
other.
hook.
Yes, they look at each other, and you know that you just said something that hit home with them. They turn around, you tell them I know that you think you're supposed to tell me that. I know that. And then they turn around, they just kind of quick look at each other. You know that they did it on the way down. You know you got to break the pack to get them to listen to you. You know that. You've got to get them in the point where they'll listen to you. You know what? You have to find a way to like every customer if you're in sales. I don't care what you sell in life. I don't care where you go in life. You have to learn to like the people that are in front of you. You have to find something that you like about them. You might like you maybe have to turn the fact that they said all those things to you in the beginning because they thought they're supposed to, and you're like, this is going just exactly the way it's supposed to. Nothing is surprising me. And you can go on with your presentation and be in the right frame of mind and right brain, with the right brain power. And to kind of know where you're at. I mean, in your mind, you say that it's just, reptilian brain, I'm in trouble here. And if you could say that to yourself, it'll help you get out of it, which is why you're going through this. It's why you're training this.
If you know it and you understand it, and you understand that you cannot hear, you cannot learn, you cannot comprehend if you are in that mindset, it just makes it easier. You need to know that, because I don't think any of us knew that. Like, who knew you couldn't learn something if you were in the wrong mind frame? Like, but if it's the truth. So if you can feel yourself there, number one is you need to know how to get yourself out. Number two, we're going to talk about this a little bit more next week as we go through the presentation, but our customers come in. So our first goal is to get ourselves into our midbrain so that we can hear what the customer is saying. But the customers are coming in even more so in their reptilian brain. And it's why we do a good warm up. And how many times have you tried to warm somebody up and it's not going well? So you're like, you know what? I'm just going to move forward in my presentation and I can come back to that later, or hopefully they'll hear something that they like. Right? I hate to say it's kind of like it's a natural thing to do. I'm not warming them up, so I'm going to move forward. Well, now that we know what we learned today, if your customer isn't warming up to you, they're still in their reptilian brain, and you move forward in your presentation, they're not hearing one word that you are saying. I have been my own tables. I've been to a million tables where at the end, the customer says, wait a minute. Can you tell me how this works again? And the rep goes, I swear I told them. And you did, the rep did, right? It's not that you didn't, it's just that you didn't realize that your people were not in the right mindset to hear what you were saying. So warm up.
Tell them again.
Somebody else saying something?
I just said, tell them again.
Yeah, tell them again. Yeah, they have to be in the right mindset. So the first
thing, if you get the opportunity, you might not get the opportunity to tell them again.
Yeah,
that's the guy,
exactly.
They're telling you that across the whole tour. I mean, that's the one that's in the reptilian brain, not listening to a word you have to say, and they're the ones that shut it down at the end when you're on the money.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's why we do a good warm up. And like I said, next week is kind of, we're starting our presentations. I'll refer back to this next week when we're doing our warm up. But I want you to think about this. If you cannot move forward until you know your customers are out of that reptilian brain. And what are some signs that they are?
Arms crossed.
Yeah. So if they're in their reptilian brain, their arms are still crossed. Girls have their pocketbooks like this.
They won't take their jackets off.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're not having a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or water or a snack or anything like that. How do we know when they're feeling good?
You see it.
Some laughter.
Yeah, they're just body language.
Their body language tells you. The way you look at them tells you. Laughter. I have to tell you something. I told everybody that I had a presentation to follow. And if I wasn't doing a good warm up, I would say to people, remember I told you I have, sections of my presentation that I do, and I'm going to go through them all with you. And they go, yeah. And I said, well, I have like a goal in each one of my steps. And I don't ever leave that step until I've reached that goal. And do you know what my goal is? And this, we call this our warm up times, just some time for me to meet and greet you. If I don't get you to laugh and smile, I don't leave this part of my presentation. And they'd look at me like I'm an idiot. And they would go, I'm serious. I really can't go to the next part until I get you to smile and laugh. That's kind of my goal for the first part. And then the husband would kind of, he'd smile and go, ah. I go, no. I really need you to do that. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to stay in this first, I got 8 more pieces of this I need to do. And I can't get out of this first section. And I'm not going to go until you smile and you laugh. And then finally, one of them would crack a smile and go, are you serious? And I go, yeah, I am. If you do something like I do every day and you want to make sure you give everybody the right stuff, you have to follow a presentation. Well, as I'm doing that, we're in step 1 and I'm not leaving step 1 yet. And I got 8 more to go. And all you guys got to do is you got to laugh. And I'm going to tell you when I'm done each 8 sections, and I'm going to get you to laugh every time, even if I have to say this, that I'm done 3. And when I'm done 3, if you laugh, I go to 4. If you don't laugh, I don't. And if it took me 2 or 3 sections to get them where I wanted to go, I could get them there. They'd finally start smiling. They'd finally start laughing because I'd say it. I'd say, you guys, I'm really at the end of part 2. Are you ready for a little smile and a laugh? And they look at me like I was nuts. And by the time I got to the 4th step, I'd say, they'd start laughing and on their own. I'd say, we just finished step 4. Now we can go into 5. I wanted to make them a friend.
And that's huge because if you need to keep them in their midbrain. And Billy, you probably didn't realize you were doing it, but by doing that, you relax them enough that then they could understand the information that you were giving them in the next section. Absolutely. And so coming through your presentation, that's huge. If people are talking about their kids, if they're talking about their memories, if their arms are uncrossed, they're in a good spot. Throughout your presentation, we do a warm up, first of all, to get people out of the reptilian brain. But then I think sometimes we forget that it's easy for people to slip back into that brain, to all of a sudden feel uncomfortable or nervous or worry that they're going to buy something. It might not be something we're doing. It might be something that they're doing, going, oh my God, we said we weren't going to buy, but I really like this. And all of a sudden now they're back in their reptilian brain. So the key to this isn't just doing your warm up and getting them there. It's keeping them there. And Billy did it his way with making them laugh through each presentation, each part of the presentation. You need to be very aware. If somebody starts, if they cross their arms again, if they stop answering your questions, if they stop participating in the presentation, you need to take a step back and go back to your warm-up. Or back to something you like, or using those words. I love this for you, because all of a sudden they're there and everything else we say is just falling on deaf ears. So it's not just the warm up that gets them there. We need to know and see those signs of them throughout the presentation to keep them in that spot.
Tie downs help that.
Sometimes when people would keep their hands folded like in front of them for a while, I would tell them, I don't know if you know anything about body language. I mean, in the sales environment, they teach us about that. Do they teach that to you in your business? And somewhere in their business, they sell some product. Somebody teaches them that kind of stuff. And I would sometimes look them right in the eye and just tell them, say, that body language, when you put your hands like that in front of you, that means you're not listening to me. You're not hearing what I'm saying. And so that isn't good for us. You need to keep an open mind. You need to not do that with your hands, okay? Because all that means is you're not listening to me. And then they would go, oh, well, I'm listening. I swear I'm listening. I'm not meaning that. So, well, then please don't close your hands like that, because every time you do that, it means that you're not listening to me. And then all of a sudden, I'd look over and the people would be starting to go into that position again and realize if I did, I was going to notice and they'd go back. They open up their arms.
You go to Catholic school, Billy?
Right. And then every once in a while, when they went to close their arms, I go, don't do that.
Yeah.
And they go,
No, it's a joke.
I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do that. But I'll remind you if you do, though. Okay. And they go, okay. And just the fact that they remembered every time that they go to put them together, they'd stop. They were listening to me, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I knew they were listening.
So keys to this, making sure that your brain is where it needs to be throughout your whole presentation and understanding when it's not. Making sure your customer's brain is where it needs to be throughout their presentation and understanding when it's not. And when you're presenting product, this is key. And a lot of times we say use emotion when presenting product or use emotion. The reason for that is, well, there's a lot of reasons for it. But realistically here, if we bring up a travel problem, they might realize, oh, they're about to sell something to me. But if we can tie it to something emotional that they told us earlier, it pulls them right back to that, oh, they're going to try to sell me something, back into it means something for them, which then they can come to the realization, the knowledge on their own, that this is something that might be good for them. This doesn't just work when you're talking to people. You need to use this when you're presenting your product. That's why every single thing we say needs to have a what it means for you is, what this means for you, what it's going to do for them personally. And it's not just because that's how we do it. It's scientifically, you're pulling them into that midbrain, and then they come to the realization, the knowledge piece on their own, that this is something that either makes sense or they want. If we're not using this piece throughout our presentation to present, we'll keep referring back to this as we do our future trainings. Now that you know this, you'll see as you go through your presentation that we use this in a million different places. But that's how we pull people back out, is by bringing them an emotion into that emotional piece.
I think what this training does is it shows us, it shows that we can get into these pieces ourselves. Why shouldn't the customer be able to? That person in front of us is going to have one of these brain things going on. Mm-hmm. That it has to be. The emotions are running. You met a new people. They're doing the same thing. This is helping us stay on track too, meaning that our sales teams. This keeps us on track, and then we can keep the customer on track. But we have to know. And during your presentation, you will have them and you will lose them. You have them and you will lose them. When you tell a story or try and present something like Surfside to a guy who doesn't like the Cape, that's a downer. They're going to go back to the wrong brain, because you're talking to them about something that you like, when the actual response will be, well, sir, not all the people that come here love the ocean. I have to tell you that. But it has nothing to do with this. If you never come back here again, please pay attention to what I have to say, because you're still going to like it, even if you don't come here and you go to the other places. I have something for everybody. I have something for you. So don't worry about that. We lose these people from time to time in our presentation. And if we're aware of where they are, we can pull them back. We have the ability and the brain to know that we can pull them back to where they want to be. Makes us think about our presentation.
Billy, they also slip back because they're bored.
No doubt about that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So
Definitely.
quickest way to do that is, and one quick way is trial closes. Make sure it's relevant. Make sure you're on the same page. Make sure, but if
Absolutely.
they're bored, they'll slip back faster than anything. And they get bored, not because of what you're saying isn't interesting. It's because it's not interesting to them
Mhm.
because you didn't listen and
Exactly.
apply it to them.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep. It's huge.
I had a funny story. I had some couples. I'm getting some implants, so I have like this partial in my mouth, and I had this couple, and I just couldn't get them warmed up. Like they were just blocking me off on everything I said, and I sneezed, and my teeth flew out of my mouth and bounced on the desk right in front of them. And I was so embarrassed. I must have turned like 50 shades of red. And then they just felt so bad for me. And I was laughing about it, and we were all laughing about it. And oh my God. And it went from me being this slick sales guy to being a human being. And, next thing you know, they're asking questions, and it was just really funny how that happened. I noticed like after that, and then they ended up buying. It was a 15.6, and it was just really.
Because your teeth
And
fell out.
Mikey,
Falling out teeth close,
Mikey, now please don't be spitting at all the customers like that and throwing
Hey,
your teeth
do you
on the,
care
on
if
the
I get the
table.
sale?
No, I don't care if you get the sale, but
Yeah,
it's
the teeth
sometimes-
fell right out. It was so funny.
it's something when you look back on that, the things that help you bring people around are amazing. Like
Yeah.
that is a great story of a person just changing immediately because they felt you went from a salesperson to a person. You
Yeah.
were just a person. You did something that you were embarrassed about. They didn't like that you were embarrassed. They didn't like you. They didn't like
Yeah.
that. Okay. And they were going to be nice to you. And that decision happened in 1 second. One thing. I'd throw that thing at people like crazy.
I know. Just have them pop out all the time, right? Just spit them out.
Yeah. Spit your
Mike,
teeth right out at them.
You said something that's huge because I think that so a lot of our new hires, they write right out of the gate because they say they're new, so everybody's guard is down and they're really excited and they don't know how anything works. And then all of a sudden they learn all these sales techniques. And I think sometimes the reason that they stop selling as you go from new to learning is that we do become that slick salesperson. You're trying to use all your sales techniques. Your first sales technique is you need to be relatable and have a connection with the people in front of you, because yes, and you need to do your trial closes and your tie downs and all.
They're listening less, Jen. When a rep is new, they listen more because the customer and the idea is exciting to them.
Mhm.
When they start to have a little bit of success and they learn about the product, they talk more because they think they need to get it all out for their customer, and it's quite the opposite.
Right. You
Yep.
just need that connection. Like Al says, nice. Those buyers are nice people. Yeah.
Yep. And then I used to tell the people, sometimes I ask you questions to make sure you understand all this stuff. So, don't be afraid of that. And once you ask people 2 or 3 questions, so I just went over that. Do you have any questions about that? And they go, oh, no. Say, what do you mean? No, everybody has a few questions about that. Oh, come on. What are your questions? Tell me what your questions are. And they're holding back. They're holding back. Ask them. They'll tell you. And you'll be a person for asking that, not a salesperson.
And then said, don't ask any questions. We'll get out quicker.
Yeah, no, exactly. But you know what, Mikey, I wanted them to ask me questions. I wanted them to feel comfortable doing that. That was, you knew all the objections before you could get to the end, It's like you have to form a relationship with every person that you speak to. And that should be your ultimate goal is to make these people your friend and be believable to them. And the reason that new people sell is enthusiasm sells. And when you don't know enough, you rely on enthusiasm. Yeah. When you've learned everything, you use what we educated you to do, thinking it's the right thing, where we really still need the enthusiasm. We still need the raw emotion, the raw enthusiasm, and it comes through to people. And most people that are really new like that have no problem saying to the customer, I'm kind of new. I want you to know that, which you should say to people. I'm kind of new. I follow the presentation. I'm going to make sure I do it right. I'll have Jen come in and make sure that I hit all the right points and stuff. And, and be a human being. I mean, lots of times during my presentation, I would just look up at people and go, I lost my thought there. Where was I?
Yeah.
Do that a couple times to people, they shit their pants. They better know. They better know the next time you ask a question what the answer is. And if they're paying attention, and they love to help you. They go, well, no, you were just telling us about being able to go to other places. I said, oh my gosh, I dropped the thought on RCI here. Let me go over that with you again. That makes you a human being. At times, I would just look back at the people and I go, you're not going to believe this. I just lost my thought there. I was going in a direction here, and I thought I lost something. I thought I can't think of it. I'm trying now, but I'm forgetting, and that's not good for me to do that, because if I forget something, it'll come up later on. I'll ask you to buy, and the first thing you'll say is you'll come up with that, and I'll go, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you back there when I lost my thought. But I mean, showing people that you forget, be a human being to them. Don't stick your finger in their face and preach to them. Talk to them. There's a big difference of preaching and talking. And you want to talk to people, and you want them to talk to you. You want interaction, and that's the best way to get it. Is you know what? If you do that, if I did that 2 or 3 times during a presentation, they thought I was a real. Well, first of all, they thought I was an idiot sometimes, but they didn't care about that. They didn't think I was a shark.
Yeah.
You know, and Mikey, a lot of people say this to you today. The reason they buy from Mike, they used to say it all the time. The reason I bought from that kid is he's not high pressure. He never pressured us into buying anything. Yeah. And that means that I used to say to people, I said, this is really all about you guys. It isn't my money. It's your money. It's your choice. You need to do this. Sometimes you have to be able to say things to people that, in a way, you think you're shocking them, but you're not shocking them. You're just showing them the human side of you. And you have to find a way to do that during presentation. The TOs find a way to do that in the first 2 minutes to 3 minutes of their introduction. They find a way to get people to settle down and listen to what they have to say. So this is what you all need to do during your presentation. And if you ask people, where was I? And they think you're going to keep doing that, they're paying attention because they're afraid they're going to get caught. That's all. And I had to just get them to listen to me. I didn't mind if they felt like that. And I had to do it a couple times to make sure that they'd listen.
Yep.
They had to listen to me. They weren't listening to me. Didn't do me any good. And I knew that. So ask them what you're saying. Ask them what you just said. They'll go, oh, well, I'm not really sure. Say, well, you're definitely not supposed to forget. It's the first time I'm telling it to you. I do this every day. 3 times a day. So, I mean, you can make yourself look like a human being. And honestly, 95% of the people that bought from me said the same thing. The reason we bought from you is because you're not high pressure.
Yeah.
I say, right. The pressure comes from you. The pressure comes from within. It's not from me. It's from you knowing you need to buy this. You need to buy this, and you're feeling that pressure. There's nothing wrong with that. That's normal. Just relax. You're supposed to feel that way. You're supposed to buy nice things for you and your family, aren't you? That's what you have one for, isn't it? Yes.
That's exactly what you just did there, Billy, is you're supposed to buy nice things for you and your family, is you took them from that feeling, that fear, and brought them right back into the emotion. And you do it naturally. To you, it comes naturally. But did you all see that that's what he did? He basically acknowledged their fear and brought it to the emotion, which then allows them to create some sort of thought or
I want that thought process to be buying, not buying.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be thinking about what they can do to buy, not what they can tell me to get out.
Right.
And you know what? You can earn respect of people that you speak to, and you really can get down to the end and have a real good conversation with people. We always try to bring it down to the money, but at the end of the day, they want you to be on their side. You need to be on their side. You need to help them, because that's what our real ultimate job is. And we can't help everybody every day, but we can help a lot of people if we do the right things. And this is why we go over stuff like this. And this is why these things are important. In our presentation last week, I said, we trust the people. Trusted me. We trust you to go out and spend 2 hours and do this presentation in the right way. And we spend a lot of money giving you those clients, and we trust you. We just need to know that you're going through the steps the right way. And we'll help you if you're not. And like I said last week, if you want to become an elite salesperson, this is the way to do this. We are a group of the most elite sales teams in any company around any country. We are some of the elite people. And this will change your life, because a lot of this is, hey, this conversation, this reptilian, midbrain, and neocortex, they're relationship brains too. They're just not tour brains. They're relationship brains. These are the things that make us go through life.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, you're going to say to your wife or your spouse, "Oh my God, you're that reptilian brain, for Christ's sakes, get out of there."
Yeah.
And I'm teasing you, but in a way, it's going to help you in every part of your life. And that doesn't mean you become my wife used to say to me all the time, don't pitch me. I'm not a customer. Don't pitch me like that. But at the end of the day, there's an awful lot about what we teach you about life. And our warm up isn't really different than walking into a neighborhood backyard barbecue in the summertime, and you hardly know anybody. And by the time you're done, you know every single person out there, and you know what they do, and you know where they work, and all that stuff. That was a great warm up, and you did it
That's a great
naturally.
way to practice. Find out how many things you can learn about somebody when you don't know them just by listening. It's a great way to practice.
Yep, it sure as heck is. And we practice every single day. What we try and teach you, you can put into daily practice.
Yep. All right, it's 10 o'clock. So we are going to pick this up next week. So your directors are going to be passing out some pieces of the new training manual today. So we've got some work for you to do on your own. We want you to, and your directors have this, so they'll be able to go over this with you. But for next week, we want you to read the next chapter after the psychology of the brain, and it's called Who is Our Customer? Yep. So who's our customer? So we want you to do that. And I've got a couple of questions. One of the things that I'd really like to do, Brian and I talked a lot about this, is I'm gonna every week, I'm gonna ask you a question that I'd like you to give to your directors, and they're gonna send it to me. And I'm gonna create a folder that everybody can get into to kind of see how people do different parts of the presentation. So I have two questions for you. Yeah, so I have two questions for you based on what we talked about today. The most important thing, I think, is I want you over the next week or so, and you can give them to your directors on next Friday morning, so you have all week to do this, is think about, and think about this when you're on presentation this week. How are you putting yourself in your midbrain and keeping yourself there? Everybody has different tactics. Everybody has different ways that they do it. Or a scenario where you found yourself in your reptilian brain and you were able to pull yourself out. I'd like every single one of you to send me how you're keeping yourself there or how you got yourself out of your reptilian brain. And then after you read the Who is Our Customer, our customer is a different breed, and we're gonna get into this, and I don't want to get into this now, but I want you to think about our product and what we can offer to the New England-based customer that's different from their current travel plans or other vacation ownership companies. So those are your two questions. I'm going to write those out and send them to your directors as well. So if you forget what they are, they can guide you with that. But I want to start a folder. So like Mike had great ideas, and Ethan might have a great idea, and James might have a great idea. So I want everybody to really think about that this week when you're on your presentation. What are you doing to get yourself ready for your tour, to keep yourself in your midbrain, or how did you get yourself there when you felt that you were falling behind? Because I think that's something that we can use today that will help sales this week.
Sounds good. That's real good. Good. We've got our work cut out for us. We have a very good week of tours scheduled. I think people are going to be busy. We need to keep in the back of our minds, we need to keep our goal of 300K. We certainly made a big difference last week than the week before. I need you to make another difference this week. We need another 50,000 this week. We need everybody's engines running on full speed. Do the things that we've asked you to do. Think about your presentation. Think about your people. Think about get into getting good TOs. Managers, do good meetings. Take some of this training and do it every single morning to keep people reminded. Let's kick some ass this weekend. We want more members than non-members this weekend. So that means you got to close 40 or 50%. So go get them. You got your work cut out for you, everybody. Have a great day and a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jen. Thanks,
Thanks,
Billy.
Jen. Thanks, Billy.
All right.
Have a great day, everybody.